Okay, so tonight is November 15th, and this is EdTech 300. And I realized today that we only have two more classes after today, which is kind of crazy. It's because we started really early, but that means that our final class is actually going to be, I think, November 30th, I think, November 29th. So I did want to start off just by telling you a bit about kind of wrapping up this semester. So do you want the good news first or the bad news? We want the bad first, okay. It's not that bad, don't worry. No, Webster, we started on a Wednesday. Yeah, it started on Wednesday and therefore ends on a Tuesday. The last day of class, I think, is the 5th. I don't know if it's not, then bonus, but all right. So, okay, but now you're making me feel like I need to double check that, but I'm like pretty positive that we don't. Yeah, okay, good. It's the 5th. Ooh, okay, giving me a heart attack here. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen and then I'll tell you, the bad news first. It's not that bad, don't worry. Okay, where are we? Okay, there we go. By the way, has anyone tried out the new Firefox browser? Because I hear it's super good and I'm kind of considering switching over, although it seems kind of crazy too. But apparently the update to Firefox is just like amazing and super, super fast. I know I'm also very involved with Google, but I did notice if you go into Firefox, it totally will just like import all of your stuff from Google. I mean, of course, they're happy to do it, but it's, yeah, I don't know. And it's like, it's nice because Firefox people aren't Google, so they're not watching everything that you're doing. And, that's kind of nice. Yeah, well, but there are Firefox extensions too. So I don't know. I'm going to try it out and I'll report back. Okay, so a couple things about like just wrapping up the semester. So you have, as you know, 3 assignments in this class. Okay, so the first one is that network learning. So that one, there's not too much of a formal wrap up, except that next week I'm going to give you your final post, and your final post is going to be that post that I promised you from the beginning, where you talk about how you've helped others learning throughout the semester. So what you've done to contribute to other people's learning. So that's basically all you have to do for that assignment, right? There's nothing else. It's just that one post, because everything else you've been doing for the last 13 weeks or 11 weeks. The learning projects, you don't have to make a big formal thing, but a lot of people choose to just have their last post be like a wrap-up post. And so that's what I'm going to show you. So if you look in the weekly plans, there's that link to the great student work. This, by the way, this is the thing you want to get on. If your assignment gets onto this list, it probably means you got a really good grade. So that's the aim, is trying to get onto the list of awesomeness. So if you look at the learning projects, so basically, I mean, as long as you've been doing them throughout, it shouldn't be a big deal. But let me just take a look at some. But I'll show you what some people have chosen to do. So let's see. Where's that? Okay, so all right. So Raquel, this works because she changed her. Oh, it's not gonna. Oh no, it is good. Yay, she kept the other one. Awesome. Okay, so Raquel learned how to play chess for her learning project, and so what she does with her final post, and hers is like, it's on the longer side. Like, this is like, she did very well. But she basically goes through, she introduces it, and she talks about, she links back to all of her different posts. And it's not like it's a ton of work, right? She's just saying like, okay, this is my first post. Here's what happened there. Okay, this is my second post. Here's what happened there, right? And she has a couple of other links in there. And basically she just links back to all of the posts she's done and kind of gives you this like quick recap of what happened. So my suggestion would be that you do something like this for your final learning project post. So it's not really a big deal. It's basically you're just summarizing it, and you're kind of, if you remember at the beginning, you were supposed to kind of take a measurement of where you're at or where you were at then. So now is the time at the end. It will be the time to be like, okay, how far have I come? You know, let me place those two videos, if you have them beside each other, and see if I improved. And just basically linking through the posts and kind of giving a bit of, you know, documentation. Does that make sense? All right. So that's nothing too serious. So you'll do another learning project post this week, and then next week you can just do your wrap up post. Can you, let's see, show accomplished? You mean if you wanted to make like a presentation? I want to see. If you wanted to make a video, yeah, absolutely. There are people who've made videos for it. Yep, that's totally fine. I think if you look at the examples, who is it? Where is my origami? There we go. Okay, so this guy, Mike, he created a summary video. I won't play the whole thing, but yeah, so he has like a, you know, he's got his post, but for the most part, he has this like, oh wait, where's his summary? No, he made a video at the end, and I don't know where it is. Hang on, I'm gonna find it for you. I'm going to find it for you. But he basically made a, he made like an iMovie trailer to summarize his process. Actually, I know who else did. Yeah, but anyway, honestly, it doesn't matter. You can find it if you want. But yeah, that's absolutely fine. If you want to really, like, you can link to the post and then say like, here's my presentation. Absolutely, it's fine. Any other questions? That's a good one. Good, cool. So there's lots of examples here. So if you are confused or you don't know what you're doing or you need some inspiration, you know, take a look. There's lots of people who've done really good stuff. And for the learning projects, I would stick to like the undergraduate ones are often better than the graduate ones. So don't feel like you need to look at the graduate ones to be super like, I don't know, advanced or something. Okay, so that's learning projects. And then the third assignment, if you recall, is a summary of learning. So that is, and let's go, I want to be sure that I'm giving you exactly what it is. So basically, if you look at the syllabus, here's the deal. This should be faster. I'm at the university. This is what I mean about Chrome. Like, I feel like it's getting slow and laggy. Come on. Okay, there it is. Yeah, Eduroam hasn't been working, eh? Has anyone else noticed that? It's like shut down or something in between. I find it really bizarre. Whoa, that was exciting. All right. Okay, so here it is, summary of personal learning. Okay, so you can work in partners with this, okay? You can, if you want to have a bigger group, there are people who have, you'll see some with like 3 people, there was one that had like 8 people, but they made a musical. But so if you, Jesse, that your face is, yeah. It's, just to be clear, they can't sing at all, but they made a musical. It was like 8 people, right? So, you know, I mean, you're gonna have 8 people. So that's basically the message here. Like, if you're going to have more people, you need to do more. And that doesn't necessarily mean to make it longer, because that's not like, longer does not necessarily mean better. It means it's going to have to be, you know, it's going to have to be the equivalent of more people's effort. So you'll see there are lengths of the video, lengths of what you're required to do. So 5 to 7 if if it's an individual, 8 to 10 in pairs. I'm going to say you need to stick to those guidelines. And the reason for it is not because I'm trying to be mean or whatever, because I know sometimes people just have a longer one. But the thing is that if you use 15 minutes, you're going to be able to do a lot more than somebody who does it in 8 or in 5 to 7, right? And so it's actually not fair to take longer, because then like it's hard for me to, like, I can't factor that into my grading, right? So it's like you are able to include a lot more things just because you took longer. Does that make sense? Like, and it's not like if it goes 7 minutes and 10 seconds, I'm going to shut down my like, you know, YouTube video and be like, nope, sorry, not watching the rest. But just, it's important that you keep it to that. Like there's a reason for that. And generally when people do longer than that, it's not great. It's like a lot of really weird rambling. And we want to avoid really weird rambling. Other than that, the only thing that's required here, and there's a rubric, but the only thing that's required is you have to include either live audio or video. Okay, so some people don't like to be on video, that's fine, but it needs to be your voice. So you can't do one of those like Animoto things and then not use your voice. It needs to be, something needs to be from you, if that makes sense. So there are tons of examples, again, in that great student work document. And you can check out this guy here, Logan. He's kind of hilarious and makes really very involved like mashups of different songs. He took 5 graduate classes with me and made a song thing for each one. And it's pretty amazing. So if you're looking for some really like incredible inspiration, Logan's your guy. But there are lots of other options for people. Like a lot of people do write songs, and they don't all have any talent at all, but some of them do. And some people, like these 3 here, Tara, Ilaria, and Robin, they like basically did Amazing Race, but it was about the class, and they incorporated their learning project. So it was really nicely done. And there's exactly what I was about to say, Jessie. So yeah, so you can, right? You can incorporate learning project stuff if you want. You don't have to. So it's up to you. So a lot of people like will bring it in because then it makes sense. So like if you learned how to play guitar, it kind of makes sense. If you know, in your summary of learning video, you play some guitar, right? So that's always an option, but you don't have to, again. What you have to do is you need to summarize your learning experience in this class. And so you should talk about, you know, particular things. And it's not, just to be clear, a summary does not mean that you're going to regurgitate what happened for the last 13 weeks, because I was there, right? And I don't need a regurgitation. So I don't need to go like, week 1, we did this, and week 2, we did this. Like, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a summary where you talk about the things that actually like stuck out to you. So focusing not on everything, but on some things that, you know, that were particularly important to you, or where, you know, you learned something that really surprised you, or you had a particular experience. Does that make sense? So like you absolutely don't need to go, please don't go week by week. Cause again, I was there. Like, I don't need that. And so it's not about telling me the content. It's about like, make some connections to it. Okay. So any questions about that? So watch some of the videos, the option or the examples, and see what you think. If you have questions, let me know. But yeah, so, but have fun with it, right? Like part of this class is about pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, right? And so I want to see you try something different. So, you know, and that may look different for different people. For somebody who's never touched any technology, then making a PowerPoint and like doing your like screencasting it with your voice over top might be a big deal, right? And that's like absolutely right on. But for some people, it might be like, you know, putting yourself out on YouTube, trying to sing or whatever, or rap. That's happened quite a few times. It can be odd, but it works. So again, like try to be creative, right? Creativity is good. Questions? Good? Good, good, good. So those things need to be done for the final day of class, and that's because we're going to watch some of them. So that needs to be done. Giselle, that face was hilarious. That needs to be done for the 29th, okay? We don't have to watch everybody's, but it's kind of fun. The other thing that, so this is the good news. The good news is that normally last day of class, what I do is for anyone who's able to, if you come to the university, we'll have like an in-person class for those who are around, and I'll buy you pizza. So we'll have pizza. Liz is like, okay, I might come now. Yeah, it's good. It's good. What kind of pizza? Oh, I'm going to send out a Google form and you're going to get to vote on different types of pizza. Don't worry. And like, we'll cover all the different kinds. Yeah. Yeah. There will be pineapple because that's clearly the only thing you should be putting on your pizza. It's amazing. But everyone always gets upset about it. Anyway, so that's the plan for the last day. So, you know, I know some of you are not in Regina, and so it's not, obviously you don't have to be there, but if you are able to, you know, I'd love to see you, and it's kind of nice to just sit around and eat some pizza and watch some hilarious videos. Yeah, so that's that. But the other thing is for the other assignments, for like wrapping up your final blog post and your final learning project, you can have you can have another week for that. So you can have 1 week from the last class to get everything else done. Okay. But I do want the summaries of learning done for that day. And then what'll happen is at the end, I'll give you a Google form basically, and you'll tell me where to find everything that I need to look for. And you're going to assess yourself. So basically, I'm going to ask you to tell me what you think you deserve on the different assignments. And I'm going to ask you to be as honest as possible because you probably have a better idea about how much effort you've put in, right? And so that doesn't mean if you say, I'm going to get 105%, that's going to happen for you. I'm still going to look at your work, but it helps me to understand like how you feel, like how much you feel you've done and how much you feel you've grown. So the more honest you are, the more likely that you'll actually get what you asked for. Generally, I find students aim low. Like I usually, and it's nice. It's nice for me to be like, oh, hey, you're actually better than you thought. You know, that's a really nice feeling. It's not so nice for me to have to go, oh, you thought you were a 95 and no. But so everything's in the rubric. So, you know, you should have a good idea kind of where you're at. Yeah, that's kind of the deal. So any questions about the end of the semester? We're good? Okay, cool. All right, so that's that. And now, okay. So the other thing that, this is weird. Does everyone see that all of the Google animals are the same color? This is not normal. They're supposed to be different colors. What the heck? I've never seen this before. Also, a pumpkin is not an animal. I think somebody needs to, oh, wait. And then the Kraken came in and what is happening? Why are they different now? Okay, that's just weird. That's super weird. I don't know what just happened there. I don't even know. Oh, it's a hippo. Okay. All right. So the next thing I wanted to talk to you about, because we didn't get to it last class, is Google Classroom. So has anyone used Google Classroom before? Has anyone done any Like, has anyone interned in Regina Public or done any work in Regina Public? So, because Regina Public uses Google Classroom, basically. It used to be called iGo, and I think it's not anymore, but it's it is excellent. Okay. But so here's the thing, is that Google Classroom is not necessarily free for everyone, right? Like, you have to have an account that's it goes with an institution. And the thing is that the university actually has Google Classroom and has accounts for everyone. They just don't tell anyone that. So I don't know why, but basically I've gone in and created Google Classroom emails and stuff for all of you, okay? And as far as I know, that will stay on forever. They're not closing it down or anything. And I have students who still have an account who I taught, years ago. So as far as I know, that's not going anywhere. So you're welcome to use it as much as you want. But the magical thing, oh, what was that? That was crazy. Sorry. Where'd I go? Where did my picture go? Oh, there we are. Sorry, something opened on my computer and freaked everything out. Yeah, well, so the thing is about the university's account is that I don't know that anyone's aware of it. It's really weird. And I kind of weaseled my way into the admin access, and now I can just give people accounts. But what's really cool is we have it set for Google Classroom that you don't have to, the people who join your class don't need to be in your class, don't need to be in the same institution. Apparently you can make classrooms. The other thing, though, that you get with an institutional one is unlimited storage. So yeah, I have an institutional account and I've got 30 gigabytes on my Google Drive, and everyone else is stuck at 15. So I feel pretty great about that because it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. But so everyone now in here is going to have an account. So in order to sign in, because we're just going to go in and play for a minute, so you need to go to classroom.google.com. And I'll put the link in there. And once you're there, don't get ahead of me, because then you will do things that you're not supposed to do, and then I'll have to go back and fix it. So, okay. So basically when you go in, you need to make sure that you log in as a teacher. Okay, so it's gonna, when you go in, it's gonna create the account for you, and you need to make sure that you select teacher account because you want that capability. But basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna go to sign in because you have an account, and it's going to be your first name dot your last name at education.uregina.ca. And the password is password123. So you can see it on the screen there. So again, it's first name dot last name. Tara, I left out your middle name. And who else? Is there anyone else? If you have a full name like Liz, I put Elizabeth, so you have your full name on there. I'm trying to see if there's anyone else who is going to have any questions about it. And if you have, I think Julie's the only one with a double last name. So it's just, it's got dots between each part. So Julie.Amos.Newton. Yeah. Okay. So you should go in and check it out and see if you can get in, basically. Do I need to paste that in there? Are we good? First name dot last name at uregina.ca. Or sorry, at education. No, you don't. You have to sign in with this other account. So what I do usually is I go to an incognito window and then I log in from there. So yeah, you're gonna go sign in. Yours is Jennifer. Yeah, I did full names. And it is .ca, so it's, or sorry, .com. It's, where is it again? No, .ca, sorry. It's first.last at uregina.ca. So I'll just put that in there. And then again, password 123. I believe I have it set so when you get in there, you're gonna need to change your password right away. So Kendall, open up a incognito window. You're just signed in already. But if you open up a different window, Annie, wait. Yes, I did. It's got dots between. Did you try password capital P123? Somebody give me some sort of, you know, what's your username is not invalid. Oh my God, this happens every time. People have issues. Yes, Jesse worked. Yes, yes, yes. All right, Morgan. Wait, so it's invalid, Morgan? It's not working? Let me just go in and you put like .education.uregina.ca? Where's Morgan? I can't see your face. Where are you? There you are. Oh no, I don't see your face anyway. Okay, and you couldn't find it. Okay, I'm gonna go and see if I can fix it from my end. So if you're in there, feel free to go and like you can create a class and just play around for a minute while I try to fix this up. Okay. All right. Does the mail server work? Part does it? I mean, you get the education, whatever. It works, I think. I don't know. I think everything's on there though. And it does have the unlimited storage, which is awesome. That shouldn't be an issue. Did you put like, that's what you typed into the browser? Did everyone else get to that? Yeah, okay. Hang on, let me go and find my users. All right, Morgan, we're gonna find out what's going on. So Julie, yours has dots between the names. Although that doesn't matter. Hang on, let me find Morgan on here. There's always a couple people who, for some reason, it just, no, you're in there. It says you've never logged in. Oh, okay, you got to figure it out. Excellent. Okay. Anyone else not able to get in? Okay, so if you are in, I'm going to switch my share. And I'm going to show you this guy. Okay, so the cool thing about the teacher account is you can create classes. So I'm going to create one now. So if you're in, if you don't have any classes, it's not going to show them, but I've got some. So I'm going to hit the little plus and then create class. So, you know, I'll call it 300 fall 2017. I'm going to create it. And then, all right, and then basically now I need to get you to be in my class, right? And so I have this class code. So what you can do at this point is you go to join class. So hit that plus again and go to join class. And then at that point, you can put in that code, which is, if I can find it again. Which is 9H5WKS. And again, I will put that somewhere. Thank you, thank you. Thanks, Jesse, you're a star. Oh, there we are. All right. Okay, so looks like some people are getting in. This is good, so I can see who's in. Ooh, I didn't do that. And like you can go in here and play anytime. I just want to show you the one thing that's like, to me, is the most amazing thing ever. How do you get to the place to go in? So if you're in the home screen, like classroom.google.com, and you log in, there should be a plus on the top right. And then you hit the plus, and then you go join. So here's the thing that's amazing. So when I make a Google Doc for you in here, I either have to make one separately for everyone, or basically you have to make one for yourself, which is not super convenient, because maybe sometimes I just want everyone to be able to fill out the same Google form or Google Doc, the same template, without having to go and make 30 copies, right? So what you can do is you can create assignments, and then you're able to, like, basically you can view everyone's and they all get their own Google form or Google Doc, which is super amazing. So basically, I'm going to make an assignment. We'll call it test assignments. And I can put in due date, whatever. And then basically what I want to do, I'm going to assign this. Oh, wait, I need to actually put a Google Doc on it. And what I do with that assignment, hang on. Here we go. Okay, there. So I can choose who to put on there, and I can choose all of these things. And then the other thing I can do is I can add something from Google Drive, right? So, you know, if I go into my Drive, I can add in, here, look, a sample test. Fantastic. So I put that in there, and then I have options, right? I can say students can view the file, or students can edit the file, right? That way, everyone gets kind of their own copy. So if I do this, should give you all your own copy. Unless it's not doing it. For some reason, it didn't pop up right, which is worrying me. Okay, hang on. Do you all have your own copy, or do you all have the same copy? Because normally it pops up that lovely thing and says students can edit, and everyone gets their own copy, and I don't know why it's not doing that. Am I missing something? Well, the same. But did you have your own individual one, or are you all in the same document? Oh no, you're all in the same document. Okay. So where did it go? Does anyone see it? Because I feel a little crazy right now. Normally when you do that, it gives you the option to give it to everyone. And this is the best thing about it. So this is not very exciting that it's not working. You don't know how to get into it. I'll tell you how to get into it once we figure this one out. Yeah, so normally it pops up and says everyone gets their own. And I'm not sure why it's not doing that. Let's see. You see it, wait, you see it where? Where do you see it? Oh, you see it in the stream, okay. Cool. So if I go, hang on. Okay, so I have my assignment. I don't know why it's doing this to me. It's just trying to make me look bad. Thanks a lot, Google. Saying such nice things about you. Okay. It's true, it's because I said it was slow. Okay, so if I go now, maybe if I go, okay. If I go and look at my assignment now, what I can do is I get to see basically who's done what, which is kind of amazing. And so if everyone has like if it works properly, I don't know why it didn't pop up. Normally it pops up and everyone gets their own copy. And if it works properly, then it just like gives everyone their own separate one, which is kind of nice. For some reason, it doesn't like me enough to do that right now. I'm not sure why. But so what I can do is I can see what people are doing, which is kind of cool. And then I can give them grades. But so I can see like, you know, what everyone is actually like, if people are not doing anything or if they are doing things, if they've turned things in. And that's kind of helpful. So like if I go and see what Luke's up to, well, he has not put any attachments in, and he's apparently not done with his assignment. But so I can actually track and see like what everyone's up to and how much they've written or whatever. Does that make sense? Other than the part where it won't give me the thing that I want. Like it's kind of nice to be able to, you know, basically give the assignment out to everyone and then be able to track what people are doing. I enjoy that. Any questions? Ooh, what's that? Oh, look at that. Somebody put a picture in. Lovely. Are there questions? We see what's happening here. You should be able to see the assignment. Like if you can't get into the assignment, it should be in the stream, like at the beginning of the class or whatever. Okay, so yeah, I mean, and it's like, we don't have time for me to go through all of it, but it's like, basically it's like Google Plus communities or like Edmodo or any of those things. I mean, it's like your courses except a million times better, right? But it's essentially, it's a way to manage your class, right? And it's a way for you to give assignments out, and then also like you're able to see what your students are up to, and they can turn things in, and it kind of like it allows them to access it at home, and then they could be working on assignments at home as well without having to worry about like, you know, like bringing a flash drive or whatever, right? So it makes it just a lot easier to like to kind of manage the classroom. So there are people who use this as like a paperless classroom thing, right? Where basically, you know, it's like you just do everything on here, right? Like you can have a classroom calendar, you can have a classroom drive folder, you can have more teachers if you want. So you do have you have quite a few options, and you can have your own Google Drive area for it. But yeah, basically you've got kind of like a whole bunch of different options, I guess, for kind of making it your own. And then on the stream, obviously, like if I want to create things, I can create assignments, I can create a question. Like if I wanted to do just like a poll right now, I can say like, what is the best animal? Question mark. And then, you know, I can do multiple choice and I can choose my options: cat, dog, spider monkey. Obviously is the third answer. Okay, and so then I go and ask it, and now you can all participate in this incredible poll. And I have to say, I'm excited to see how we're all doing. Oh, 10 done. Oh my goodness. Oh man, what is going on here? It's rough. The dog is edging out the cat. Yikes. It's not right. It's not right. And obviously the answer is spider monkey. Like, I don't, whatever. No, yes, Jesse. That's exactly right. I feel like it's because the cat and spider monkey are splitting the votes, you know? people who enjoy cats also enjoy whimsical things like spider monkeys. That makes sense to me. Okay. So, but yeah, so there's tons of stuff that you can play around with. You know, you can have announcements on here. You can connect with parents on here. Like, you can just do a whole lot of stuff in terms of managing your classroom. So, and because of the way this is set up, even if you're not in Regina Public, if you wanted to use this in the classroom, you would have to go through, make sure that your district is okay with you using Google. But if they are, then you can create a class, and any of your students can just get into it. Like, they don't have to be in the same email domain. They can just join with their regular Google accounts. So all they need is a Google account. Does that make sense? We're good? Yeah? Cool. Right on. All right. Okay, so that's Google Classroom. I invite you to explore at your leisure. But what I'm going to do is we're going to talk about something else. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit more about digital literacy, and then I want to talk about coding. And I feel like this is where everyone panics and they're like, oh my God, coding. But it's okay. It's okay. Coding is all right. Okay, so let me just pull this up. All right, so you read some articles for today, right? And you read like some of the stuff around digital literacy. So thoughts from the articles at this point? What did you learn? What are your thoughts about, I don't know, fake news and student literacy? It used to be funny, and now it's annoying. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Yeah, fake news used to be hilarious stuff, and now it's like some serious things. Yeah, I mean, it used to be a joke until it hijacked the American election, and then it wasn't a joke anymore, right? Like, yeah, and also you've got like, you know, I don't know, Donald Trump calling everything fake. I don't know if anyone follows his tweets. Like, if I don't actually follow him because I don't want to contribute to his ego, but I go and look at his tweets. And yeah, he was all about CNN, right? So he was in Asia. And so he was like, I was forced to watch CNN because I was in Asia and it's the worst. And then he just ends the tweet with like, loser. And it was very confusing. But yeah, so this has become like a bit of an issue, right? And as you would have seen in the Stanford study, like, kids are not good at that. So we need to be better at teaching this. And so one of the things that I think is important to note is, so this is kind of Google Analytics, right? This is, you can see on the internet. So as long as we've had the internet, you can see basically where it spikes, and it spikes in 2016, pretty unsurprising, right? With the US election. And you can see also that people are most interested in the United States. So this is called, like, this is Google Ngram, and you can put in search terms on Google, and then basically you can see where, like, when it's being talked about and where it's being talked about. So you can even like put in a name, and you can see when it's been like a popular baby name or whatever. So it's kind of cool. But the other thing is you can go, yeah, so you can go through the analytics and just see, you know, while there's been Google, but you can also go, so the Ngram viewer, what it can do is it can scan books. And so you can see when, you know, when terms were important in popular culture. So if you take a look at this is terrifying. So the last time, so fake news is not new, right? And the last time the term peaked, as you can see, is in 1938. So we can make some correlations there, perhaps. And basically, you know, I mean, so the idea of propaganda, right, is I guess where that's probably coming from. Yeah, but it's scary, right? Like, it's scary that, you know, we're back to that. But as you guys all said, it was hilarious, right? Like, this is what fake news used to be. It used to be the tabloid thing that you saw in the aisle, and you're like watching this as you're checking out at the supermarket, and it's like, I was Bigfoot's love slave, right? Like, that's hilarious. That's not mean fake news. That's just nuts fake news, right? Um, and and so now it's become like much more insidious because it basically it looks like real news. Whereas this, I hope you could all look at and say like, that's not right. And I think like it's important to remember why we spread bad information, and it's actually like problematic, but it's good to realize this. So, you know, one reason is like the research shows basically if something appeals to you kind of on a psychological need or psychological level, or it's something that you believe, you're much less likely to be critical of it. So if something aligns with your worldview already, then it's like, oh, okay, and you're less likely to check it out before actually, you know, sharing or whatever, which is dangerous, right? There's also just, you know, doesn't seem like we have much inclination to check things. And also it's really easy to share things, right? So all of these things kind of coalesce in the perfect storm of making it really easy to share fake things and have them look real. So I just want to talk about a little bit about like tools and strategies, because I think this is really important that you're teaching this in the classroom. And so I think we can acknowledge like we used to do certain things and they're not really great. Like this is something that, you know, people have used for a long time, right? You need to help save the Pacific Northwest tree octopus. Right. And this has been the standard, like the gold standard for digital literacy instruction is like, oh, how do we know that this is fake? Oh, because octopi don't live in trees, right? And so it's like basically you're teaching kids to recognize fake content through like basically they just look at it and know that it's not real. This is not terribly useful as a strategy, right? I mean, and something that was pointed out just recently that I was thinking about is like, actually the test you're using here is like, what part of the world are you from that you know about an octopus and where they live, right? And like, are you privileged enough to have gone to you know, an aquarium and seen an octopus, right? Like, if you haven't, then then you're not going to recognize this as wrong. So this is actually more like a test of like privilege and location, I would say, than anything else. And Luke, speak of the devil, look at that. Yeah, dihydrogen monoxide, this is the other one, the big one, right? So it's like basically, yeah, DHMO, two hydrogens and an oxide, which is water, right? But they just changed the name. And so then they basically have this website where it's like, oh my goodness, it's a disaster, and everyone's going to die from being exposed to DHMO. So again, you've got like not super great examples for how to teach digital literacy. Like these are kind of like they're passe. It's no good anymore. And then you have things like the CRAP test, right? This is another one that that's pretty popular, right? But it's not great, right? So if you think about the criteria, yeah, also the house hippo, yeah, it's but again, like it's just so silly, and it's like that's not the fake news that people need to be worried about, right? And that's kind of what's hilarious is like people don't understand that that's not where fake news is these days. We're not worried about somebody tricking you into thinking there's a tiny hippo in your house. Like, does anyone remember the tiny giraffe, the little giraffe? It was like the baby giraffe. This was like maybe 10 years ago. It was amazing. And it was like this Russian guy, and he had a baby giraffe, and it was really funny. And there was like a baby giraffe camera, and then you could sign up to try to get a baby giraffe. Yeah. But again, like fake news, even though we all wanted it to be true because it would be awesome to have a tiny giraffe. But not like really very, you know, it's not mean, like it's not done in a mean way. It's kind of done in a hilarious way. But so if you look at this like CRAP criteria, which is one of the things that you'll see being taught in schools, you think about it like currency, the timeliness of the information. But if you think about that now, like things can be like things often, if they're recent, are not accurate because they've been put up too quickly. Like information's come out and it hasn't been accurate, right? Relevance is like, that one's it's pretty problematic because often you're more drawn to things that are relevant to you. So you're more likely to find them accurate. Authority is another one that's not super helpful, right? Authority is relative to your worldview. And it's like, it's a lot of people, if you are a very right-wing Donald Trump supporter, you may think that Fox and Friends is like authority, right? Or Breitbart is authority. Whereas if you are, on the left end of things, you're going to have a different idea of what counts as an authority. So that's, again, not a great test. Accuracy, we don't seem to be worried about accuracy anymore. Like this is the whole thing. We just share things because we think they're good. So that one's not terribly useful. And purpose, like this is one that's always, purpose has been on these tests forever, but it's like, how do you know what the purpose is of an article? And primarily the purpose is to trick you into thinking something, right? So often a very fake news thing would pass this test, right? It's not good. It's not helpful. So I think we need to look at better strategies for teaching digital literacy that go beyond that. So one thing is this book, this is a resource created by Mike Caulfield. And you can find it if you just Google web literacy for student fact checkers. And it's really fantastic. Like he does a good job of going through and actually reimagining what it means to have web literacy today. And so he has these, this is basically the summary, right? He's got these 4 moves and a habit, right? So he's got look for previous work, right? And we'll go through this in a second. Go upstream to the source, read laterally, circle back. I'm not going to focus as much on that. Don't think it's quite as important. And then also check your emotions, right? So if you look at this, looking for previous work, right? So look at where it's from. Look at what article, what news organization this article is from or whatever. Go to a real fact-checking organization. But this is the kind of information that students need to know, right? But they may not know that Snopes is a really good site for checking facts. How many of you, if you saw something, would Snopes be your first stop if you were wondering if it was fake? Yeah, well, yes. Yeah, it would be mine too, but who uses Snopes? Okay, I'd never, see, there we go. Snopes is fantastic. And basically they're like the, Mythbusters of the world. And they check things for accuracy, right? And they're not particularly partisan. And so it's a really good resource, but that's not again, none of these things come up in your CRAP detection test, right? So it's important to know what are the reputable fact check organizations? Because there are some really bad ones too. And that aren't any good, right? Or some that are very, very, very one-sided, right? So why? Yeah, and so you've got that on there, right? PolitiFact, factcheck.org. Snopes is, I think, the big one. Lie detector, Hoaxslayer, and then some that are for particular areas and some outside, FactsCan is the Canadian one. It's not as good as Snopes, frankly. But this is the kind of thing you need to show your students, right? You need to introduce them to these sites. Go and check out Snopes.com and see what's on there. That's a useful tool because then you can look at whatever the article is and say, what else has been written on this? And we saw this with the shooting in Las Vegas, right? That immediately it came out oh my God, ISIS has taken responsibility for it. And that was fake news, right? It was not. They did not claim responsibility. and so you can see Snopes, they luckily corrected this. But like there were definitely people who were spreading that, right? And then people were like, wait a minute, like the ISIS connection doesn't make any sense. But basically it's about, knowing where to look, right? So if I look at, if you look at the Google lineup here, this is searching for the Mandalay Bay, right? And ISIS, which was the hotel and ISIS. And then you can ask it where to check. So you can say, I want Google to only look for Snopes or fact check, right? And then you can see what those two sites have about this. And that's like, being a good searcher is really important. And it's a really important skill for students, and this kind of thing they don't teach, right? If you look for, so also going upstream to the source, right? So again, there are reputable, I like this graphic, but basically it's like, this is how kind of complex things are, like how intelligent I guess the sources are, and then you get down to kind of like sensational or clickbait, right? They've got CNN down there, which is pretty funny, and I can see, I mean, they've got some issues, but like Infowars, like bananas. I also like whoever made this, like, just know. Better than not reading news at all. So that's, again, like this is a useful kind of thing to share with students, right? You're looking at like things in this zone which are problematic because they confirm existing biases, right? Or like, things in this area that maybe aren't super bright. Then you've got kind of the central stuff, like they have high standards, they're good, like you can actually, you can trust them, but they're not super heady, right? So, like there's lots of good things and bad things, and it's important, I think, to help students understand like where different publications fall on there. And even like so, like this, right? This was put out there, and you've got to understand that people can play with with photos, basically, right? So if you take this and you just saw it on a site and you're like, whatever, it's probably totally real, but then go and look where it's from. Well, it turns out like, no, this is not real. It's a fake group. And, and then you look at the actual thing and she doesn't have "I'm with stupid" on the t-shirt, right? But you need to go and check the source in order to find that out, because, otherwise you might be fooled into thinking that this person is wearing that ridiculous t-shirt, right? But again, you need skills to be able to do that, right? This, like, according to the CRAP test, like, I don't know how the CRAP test is going to catch this, right? Like, it's probably pretty recent. And, if you think that Hillary Clinton's stupid, then you're going to agree with this, and you're probably going to be, psychologically inclined to share it. So again, going upstream, looking at the source. Then reading laterally, right? So the idea that, this is from that the same book that this guy put out, but basically the idea that if you are a good kind of fact checker, you don't stay on the site, right? Like you don't focus on the site itself, which is what that CRAP test would have you do. Instead, you look around it, right? You look at things that are unrelated and see if they correlate, right? So for instance, if you want to know about Breitbart, well, if you put Breitbart into Google, you probably just get a link to Breitbart, right? Like you'll get sent to Breitbart.com. Breitbart.com thinks they're great. They clearly think that they're excellent, accurate news, right? And so you're just going to be led down that rabbit hole, right? But if you know how to search, again, if you look at that search bar up here, right? If I want to know about Breitbart.com, but then I want to not have anything that comes from Breitbart, from that site, I can actually put like -site Breitbart.com, and I can say I don't want anything from their Facebook page either, right? So I'm also taking out anything that comes from them. So now all I'm going to get is things that are like related to Breitbart, but don't come from Breitbart, because Breitbart is not going to have negative press on themselves, if that makes sense. But again, like this is a high level search skill, right? And again, you're not going to get it from your crap detection thing. And even looking at things like Whois. So if you go to Whois, you can look up basically who owns a site. You can't, like, not with individuals, right? But when things are owned by a company, then you can actually see who owns it, which is, I think, really useful in a lot of cases. So you can tell if it's like a bogus site that somebody set up for their own good. So like if I look for the Star Phoenix, like you can see it's owned by Postmedia, right? Like this is legit. And so that's again another good site for kind of checking to see, who owns something. Are they a legit organization? And then I think the other thing that's really important is like checking your emotions, right? So, and I like this is what he says about it. Like when you feel strong emotion, happiness, anger, pride, vindication, and that emotion pushes you to share a fact with others, stop. Above all, it's these things you must fact check. So it's the things where you're like, oh yeah, I always knew that Hillary Clinton was a space alien. It's the things that make you particularly like overjoyed about things like John McCain, clearly a lizard. That's a real internet thing. There's a whole community of people who think that John McCain is like the lizard king. It's really weird. But again, if something makes you like, if you have a strong emotional reaction, that's when you need to go like, oh, I wonder if this is actually a legit thing. So I think the other thing too, along with that, is like developing, a critical disposition. And there are tools that you can use for that. So here's some fun things. Like this is Factitious. You can actually go and it's like Tinder for facts. So you basically go on there and then you swipe right if you think it's real and left if you think it's fake. And then it tests you on whether you can tell a real news site from a fake news site. So this would be a fun thing to use with your students, right? You can kind of test things. Or this is hilarious. So this is, political, this is called politecho.org. And basically it analyzes your Facebook friends and then it figures out where they fall on the kind of, left, right, conservative, liberal kind of, spectrum, and also how, I guess, how much your news feed is influenced, right? So in this example, this is super liberal, right? And there's also the size of the dot is how much they affect your news feed, right? So, this is clearly somebody who does a lot of talking and sharing. But you can see your news feed in this case is primarily liberal. You get a very, very small amount of that right-wing news. So that's an interesting one to kind of look at with students. There's also a Facebook extension called Escape Your Bubble. And basically you can add it to your Facebook and then you say I want to know more about this group. So I have it set to it basically, I want to understand Republicans better because that's not me. And you basically, it'll add things to your feed that you wouldn't see otherwise. And that's kind of a cool idea. So basically it finds articles that would have a different point of view, but they're not the crazy articles, right? But things that have a more, in my case, a more conservative bias. And again, it just pops up in your Facebook and then, it's part of your news feed, which is kind of cool. And let's see. And there's also this one. I like this one too. This is Flipfeed. So you can put this on your Twitter. And then what it does when you turn it on is it basically gives you, I wonder if I have it installed up here. Basically what it does is it takes your Twitter feed and it swaps it for somebody who's on the other end of the political spectrum. So you can actually see, because your Twitter feed is going to be it's made up of the people you want to follow, right? And And so to get a sense of what your Twitter feed might look like if you were different, like if you had different political ideologies, different friends, you can actually put this on and then they give you a real person. Like they block out the name, like they'll block out who it is, but they actually will give you a real person's feed who they've analyzed and determined to be kind of your opposite on the political spectrum. So that's kind of cool as well. It's like weirdo stuff that you can see on there. Even like activities for your students, like you can actually, there are a lot of teachers who have their students actually fact check Wikipedia articles, because anyone can edit Wikipedia, right? It's not hard. And so students sometimes will create articles about things that aren't on there, or they'll, fact check other posts and kind of, fix them up so that they're better. So that's kind of a cool way to, teach critical disposition through saying like, hey, Wikipedia is not always accurate. Let's see what we can do to make it more accurate. But I think it's just like, it's really, and there's also, this is hilarious, there's also a course that ran in January of 2017 where you were learning how to read and write fake news, which is kind of also potentially hilarious. I don't know if I shared it last time when we were talking about fake news, but basically, like there's all of these kids in Macedonia who made tons of money basically writing fake news. And now we know that even some of the very like popular Twitter people who, were like very well-known like Republican personalities or like right-wing personalities, turns out were bots. Like they weren't real. They're just bots created by, in this case, the Russians. So, and Luke, you're absolutely right. Like, and they've done studies, right, about Wikipedia. And it turns out in most cases, it's as accurate as a peer-reviewed journal because it is peer-reviewed by the world, right? And so you'll know, like, on if something is new, you have to check, right? You have to check, but it'll usually say like this event is happening right now, check back because things are changing really quickly. And they're pretty good at catching things, right? Because like people do hilarious things on Twitter. At some point they changed Paul Ryan, who's the Speaker of the House, and he has been under fire in the US for being like a bit of a, spineless person and not really having any kind of morals. And so somebody like went into Wikipedia and changed it, basically his thing, to say that he was an invertebrate, i.e. a spineless animal. And I mean, Wikipedia checked it in like, probably 10 minutes or something, but you have to remember that things can get put up there. And also you have to remember that you can write your own Wikipedia site. Like I could write a Wikipedia site for myself and I could say, I'm the queen of my own special country, and I could have sources that I made up, right? Or like it could be a book that I wrote about myself being the queen of a country, right? So you do, as Webster's saying, like you have to check the sources, but generally with the more like the bigger kind of more mainstream articles, you'll have a pretty good sense of what's real and what's not. And you can report things too on Wikipedia, right? Like you can say like this is not accurate. So they do have some good checks. Like I think they're pretty decent, but occasionally somebody goes in and does something hilarious on there. So let's, I guess, just kind of a quick overview of some of the things you can do in terms of fake news in your classroom. So some ideas there. Any questions or thoughts or whatever, comments, concerns about the fake news piece? Good. We're all prepared to teach about fake news. At least you have some ideas. And I would definitely check out this, the Web Literacy for Student Fact Checkers. And I'm just going to put the title in here. It's really good. And even just reading it, like you will probably learn some stuff reading through it. Yeah, I mean, that's always helpful. It's always helpful, except that Trump is so like, he's so out there that you never really know like if he is actually kind of like, sometimes he might be right about things and we have no idea because he's so off the wall all the time. That's because, oh, but so even something like Trump's Twitter account, what's interesting is people have analyzed it, and like there are markers that let you know basically which tweets are written by him and which are written by his staffers. One of the biggest ones is he never includes links in his own tweets, whereas his staffers generally do. But he, like, I don't know, he sent out a tweet yesterday, or like, yeah, it was yesterday. So there was the school shooting in California, and he sent out a tweet that was about the shooting in Texas. Like, he just didn't change his tweet, his like condolence tweet. So he basically just sent out the same thing that was like, I'm so sad for the people in Texas. And it's like, no, wrong place. Yeah, there was a school shooting in Northern California because that happens every day in the US, because they have no gun control. But that's not what this class is about, so I'm going to not talk about that. But yes, there was a school shooting yesterday in an elementary school. So, yeah, but so I think it's super important that you're teaching students about this. So the more you can do of like showing them things and doing more than just like showing them the tree octopus, you need to go beyond that, right? And so use some of these tools. All right. So the other thing I want to tell you all about today, though, is coding. So how many of you, wait, let's play word association. When I say the word coding, you think, fill in the blank, C++, excellent. What else? Machine language, yes. Machine language, telling machines what to do, yes. Shalene thinks binary code, very nice. Java, HTML, CSS, yep. Where might you have seen code in this class? Yes, when we did the search elements in Google, absolutely. Where else though? Where's there now? Okay, and I know that some people think that HTML is not really code, but it is. Like, it's just a different kind of code. Yeah, your blog, right? Like, if you remember how, if you want to use that, like the comp fight thing where you paste the stuff in and then it creates a citation or whatever underneath. Yeah, photo credit. And you have to go over to text view. That's HTML. Yeah, exactly, Giselle, right? There's visual and there's text, and you have to go into the text view in order to edit that stuff. And basically, oh, you don't, if you're copying the code, then you have to, unless they've changed that. Yeah, and even things like search terms, right? Like, those are, yeah, I mean, different things you can do in terms of putting, like in terms of telling Google exactly what you want. Yes, Luke, that's true. You can put it as a caption. I just don't like the way the captions look on my own blog, which is why I always do it the other way, because I don't like the captions. I don't know. I suppose I should probably teach about it because it's somewhat easier in some ways, but I don't like it anyway. And you can't put it, like, the links don't work the same way. And anyway, yeah. But so coding basically is just telling a computer or other, machine, digital technology, it tells them what to do. So it's language for machines, right? It's and binary code is one of them, right? Binary meaning it's a string of zeros and ones. But there are lots of different types of code. And so we're going to learn a little bit, and then you're going to play for your homework, basically. But so there are some really cool initiatives out there, right? So one of them that's particularly awesome is this thing called Hour of Code. Has anyone seen that? I don't know if you graduated recently, maybe you've even done it. So the idea behind Hour of Code is pretty simple. It's like, basically, I'll show you the site in a second, but basically the idea is you have all of your students complete 1 hour of coding, and then and it's like very kid friendly. And then the ideal is that you do something more than that, but it's at least an introduction. And so it's like a thing where everyone in the school does an hour of coding, right? And it's supposed to be, or it'll be like a citywide or province-wide thing. And so, code, we often would think of like kind of complex, language and like really specific, like what HTML looks like. But there's a lot of tools out there that will basically allow you to teach students using visual type, like more visual coding. So in the weekly plans, you have the option of using Scratch or Hour of Code. I'm going to show you Hour of Code. If we have time, I'll show you Scratch. But you can play with either one. But Hour of Code I really think it's great. It has some awesome features. So this is a free site. And it's part of code.org, which is also free. There are some great, like totally free sites to learn how to code. Code Academy is another one where you can go in, you can choose whatever type of code you want to learn, and they'll teach you. It goes through a series of lessons. And I've learned a bit of HTML. It's really useful sometimes when you're like, why is that thing on my blog doing that thing? And I don't understand why. And, WordPress is weird sometimes, but then if you go into the HTML, you're like, oh, that's happening. So that can be useful. But so this is Hour of Code, right? And you can see like, oh, look, all of these people have done Hour of Code. Here we go. This is code.com one. I feel like this is, no. Oh no, here it is. Okay. So basically this is Hour Code, right? They've got all these different options. So instead of being boring, you can learn to code through Minecraft or through Star Wars, or there's a Moana one. Right. Like there's these things that people will have heard of, that kids will have heard of, and it teaches you through them. And basically you have these options, right? So you can say like what type of audience so how young are my students basically. And you get to choose whether you're beginner or comfortable, which I really like, right? Like, so it's like, how much skill does the teacher have? Because if you feel like it's too scary to have something complex, then it'll actually sort out the ones that are like pretty easy for the teacher to deal with too. And they got these different topics or whatever. And you got like even things like, oh, if you have poor or no internet, like what can you do? So it's got a lot of options, pretty neat. So if you go to like the younger grades, so, you go to something like, I don't know, there's Moana. We can all learn how to code with Moana. So the idea is you can go through this hour thing of learning, but I'm going to show you like it's pretty simple. And the idea is they're showing you the thinking behind code, right? Because the coding itself isn't that hard. Like you can Google how to write HTML, but it's knowing how to think in kind of the logical step-by-step ways. It's the logic, but then I believe you can actually switch it over. You can switch the view over on some of them at least. So you can see because it'll show blocks, right? But you can see what the blocks look like if you were actually looking at real code. So it does kind of progress in that way. But so basically it's going to have crazy music. I know it. We're going to be stuck with Moana music now in a minute. But basically what it does, it like walks you through however many lessons. How we're doing Moana. This is there we go. Okay. So if you haven't seen Moana, it's pretty cool. I don't know.
Aloha everyone.
They're going to talk at us. You can watch the introduction if you want. You don't have to. But basically it's going to tell you it's there, you get that. Great. Put away sound. Thank you. Okay. So basically it's like we have to get to the fish, right? Okay. So the fish are here and you have to figure out how to get there. So anyone want to help me out? Which block do I need to bring over here? Forward. Yes, we need to move forward. So all you have to do is you drag it forward. So now we've got 2, right? So we got 1, 2, so it should take me there. So I can run it. 1, 2, yay, we found the fish, right? And that's how it starts. Like it starts super basic. So then they take you to the next lesson, right? So now what? We've learned how to move forward. Like they're basically showing you how to drag the blocks. And it gets more and more challenging. So now, oh, there are more fish. They have little things from the movie to make it fun. So now we have, again, this situation. So how do I make this one happen? Forward times 3, yeah, right? So I need to do forward, forward, forward. It makes a very satisfying clicking sound when you bring it in there. 1, 2, 3, hooray, we made it, right? Keep in mind the Moana one is one for like small children, so that's why it's like, you know, it starts out pretty basic, but if you go through the whole thing, like they get pretty complex by the end. And basically you just go through the lessons. So you can imagine a kid can do this on their own, right? Like you could have all of your kids doing one of these. So now what do I do now? Okay, so this is where we start getting the logic piece, right? So I need to go, it already says move forward 1, right? That'll get me here. And then what do I need to do? Then I need to turn right. Yes. So then I'm going to turn right. So I get to take one of those right blocks, right? And then once I turn right, then I need to go forward twice, right? And if you do it wrong, it'll tell you that you've done it wrong. And then I need to fish, because they add this fish thing in, right? Because there are these little fish jumping around. So after I get there, I have to fish. So now it's going to do it and show me what's happening. And there we go. Look at us. We've caught some fish. Congratulations, everyone. So that's like how simple it starts out, right? And then you can go progressively harder and harder. So this is kind of one option that you can try. You can do one of the hour of code activities. And you can do a harder one if you already know something about coding, or you can learn with Moana. That's fine too. It's really up to you. So this is one site that I would, and it's linked in the weekly plans, that I would encourage you to explore, because there's a lot to learn on there. The other one that I want to show you is Scratch, and this is it's through MIT. They actually have an app too. There's like Scratch Junior, that's an app. It's free, and this whole thing is free. Like it's all, I think, open source, and basically they've created this thing where, like, you can learn how to code visually, right? But you can also like there are things that you can hook up to your Scratch program, and then so you can run things like external to the computer, right? So for instance, you could make like a piano on here, right? If you have, like, you would need some other equipment, but basically you could write a program for something like a piano, and then you basically can run it through Scratch. So things like Makey Makey, there are these little kits that allow you to basically build like little circuits, and then you plug part of it into your computer, and then this tells it how to run. Why it's taken so long. Thanks a lot, university. My home internet is faster than this. It's just sad. I know my extension's holding. I know. But I feel like my extension shouldn't be holding up quite as much. Come on. You can do it. You can do it, Chrome. This is why Chrome maybe is going to have to be replaced, you know? I don't know. Probably shouldn't say it too loudly, because it'll probably totally stop working for me then. Oh, killing me. Spinning death wheel. Spinning death wheel. I can't even find the extension that's causing the issues. I'm just going to close this window. I'm just going to, I don't know. It's not happy. It's really not happy. We're going to go into a Firefox window. Yeah, that's what happens, Chrome. All right, I'm going to switch my share. Sorry, Chrome, but you are not working right. Okay, so now we can use Firefox, I hope. All right, is it showing my Firefox screen? Yeah, okay, perfect. All right, so let's try this again. Scratch.mit.edu. It's funny because the university's faculty email only works on Firefox. It doesn't work on Chrome, which is a little ridiculous, but okay, so this is Scratch. So you can see from here the blocks are similar, but it's a lot more kind of free form, right? Like you can go through, they have tutorials, but you can also just play around and then use. And basically, I don't know, learn from doing, I guess. So you get this little cat. This little cat's called a sprite. And you've got all these things you can make them do. So you can see like it starts you off at a little bit more complex than the code.org site does, or sorry, the Our Code site does, right? But basically you just get to tell it what to do. So like if I want the cat, I don't know, I want the cat to move 10 steps forward, right? And I have to put in control. So, or sorry, operators. So I want it to, I've got all these options here, right? I've got events, operators. I can say this is when I want it to start. I want to make can we make it a dog? No, what is dog love in this class? Seriously, no. No, you can choose lots of different sprites. We can also choose Amon, which seems maybe like it's racially problematic there, because really he's doing, yeah, I don't know about all that. I can't vouch for that. We can have a soccer ball moving. We can make a ballerina move. Banana. I like whoever suggested banana. That's yes. Thank you. Banana. Thank you, Kira. Okay, so now we've got a cat and a banana, because obviously. So, and then you can code whichever one you want. So basically, okay, so what do I want the banana to do? Anyone have any thoughts on this? Fine, I'll just make the banana walk. All right, so when I click that little flag, the banana is gonna walk that many steps. And then, let's see, and then we can change, like you can make it turn around. So I can have it turn 15 degrees. And then let's see, I can make it change color, which is a little terrifying sometimes. And then I can put costumes on it, yeah. I'm gonna leave that one for now, but you can explore it. And then let's see, I want it to happen forever. So I can put a little loop on it. And then, you find out what happens. It will probably be a little terrifying, but here we go. There we go. We've made a psychedelic banana that spins in a circle. Not bad, hey? It will go on forever because I put it in a forever loop. Yeah, forever. I did at one point make like just the most terrifying thing, and it was a bat, and it got like bigger every time, and it just took over the whole screen. I don't know, it was bad news. But yeah, you can play around. It's not that hard. I know, banana. Well, I stopped it. See, I stopped it. But yeah, you can stop it with a little stop sign. But it's fun. Like it's frustrating at first, I have to say. Like, so I would really suggest, do the getting started with Scratch if you want to use this one, because otherwise you think, why is the cat doing this crazy thing? And it will be really frustrating. But it's fun. Like, and I like that you can build, your own stuff. And you can make like a Flappy Bird game on here pretty easily, right? And you can also see, like if you go to the home, you can see like student projects, and they're pretty cool. So you can see like here are all of the, oh, there's a German one. Let's see what the German person did. basically they choose cool things and then they feature them. So if you made something really awesome, they might even feature your Scratch project. But we can see what this does. I don't know what's happening at all. I'm going to press this thing. Oh, look, things are happening. Wow, it's terrifying. There's a firestorm. Oh my God. I don't know what's happening. This is a crazy game. Very exciting. But like this is, they just feature like, you know, if you create something, basically your thing will be added to kind of the repository of things that people have created. It's really crazy. I don't know what's going on. I'm just going to stop it because it's scaring me. So there you have it. That's like your super short introduction to coding. But for your blog post this week, what you're going to do is you're going to, again, check out either Hour of Code or Scratch or both if you're feeling particularly, you know, exploratory. And you get to play around and then tell us about it. You can embed, like if you make something on Scratch, you can actually, like you can link to it, right? If you make an account. And so you can, you know, have your Scratch project show up and be linked to your WordPress. So that's always, you know, that can be fun. But yeah, just play around, maybe take some screenshots and see what you find and see, you know, how this might look in the classroom for you. All right? Good. Okay, and in the meantime, I'll figure out if Firefox is worth switching to. All right, so I'm going to stop the recording. And